What's happening, Nerd Squad, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Cain Marko, aka the Juggernaut, has been on the big screen a couple of times now. We've actually seen two actors play him in the X-Men movies, one of which was already playing a mutant, but we'll talk about that later on. We've also seen many different versions of Cain hit the pages as well. So here to break down our 10 alternate versions of the Juggernaut, I'm Taylor McWatters, you're you. Let's talk about it. Number 10, Juggernaut. Cain Marko, Earth 616. Let's get the facts out first so we know who we're talking about. He made his first comic book appearance in Uncanny X-Men issue 12. Cain and Charles Xavier were serving together in the same unit, but when Cain was under fire, he ran off to take cover in a nearby cave. Now the cave was actually home to the lost temple of Sidorak, so Cain grabbed this glowing ruby from the lap of an idol, read the inscription, and possessed the power of the Crimson Bands of Sidorak, becoming, you guessed it, a human Juggernaut. Now he doesn't need food or air to survive, so that's pretty clutch. So eventually he found his way out of that collapsed cave, and his super strength and invulnerability made him an absolute unit, a force not to be messed with. Once he was free, he had to destroy an entire village in order to get that Juggernaut title. He had to take out the previous man who held that Juggernaut mantle, Jin Taiko. Now, at one point, he joined the X-Men, and then he accepted Xavier's offer to live at the Xavier school, but after a young boy he befriended named Sambi met his fate, Cain embraced the dark life and the Sidorak energies once again and went back to his villain ways. But it wasn't always like that. Number 9, Good Guy Cain. For this next entry, we're going to look at X-Men issue 435 titled The Trial of Juggernaut. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's standard practice for professionals not to hook up with your clients, right? Because Jen Walters didn't get the memo, it seems. Jen was representing Juggernaut, and in a moment of heroic actions, Juggernaut kind of proves that he's not all bad. He has the perfect opportunity to escape, but he doesn't. Instead, he actually saves the day. When one of those annoying guards begs for his life, he tells Cain he can just go. He's like, don't kill me, just leave. There's literally a hole in the wall. You can go. So Jen Walters is like, interesting. Why didn't he leave? Is this a scam? Why didn't you escape, Cain? Talk to me. And then Jen asks him about women's rights. And then the next page, we see this. The room is a mess. The bed has been broken into the ground. The lamp is busted and the windows just wide open. They're just like, we're not even gonna shut these a little bit. We're just gonna keep it open from here to here. No problem, let's do it. I mean, there's zero attempt at any privacy in this scenario. It's kind of wild. But it seems like they had a good time, which is a total improvement from the day earlier. And before we continue on with this list, if you want to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, if you want, no pressure, but it does help us quite a bit, especially while we're working from home. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for your constant support. Now let's get right back into this list. No more wasted time. Number 8, X-Men The Last Stand. So when Juggernaut finally hit the big screen and joined the X-Men in The Last Stand, it was nothing really like the comics. I mean, it's kind of hard to find an actor to play this beast. I mean, you could have the biggest man alive, like the Mountain from Game of Thrones. He could probably play him, but he still wouldn't be big enough. Actor Vinnie Jones stepped up to the bat. I mean, Vinnie himself is massive. That actor could fold my bones into a Ziploc bag easily. He's huge. Very intimidating man also. The character was portrayed as much weaker than Cain in the comics because they had to. Now I wanted to put this version in this list a little bit later so you guys could see the main difference between comic book and movie. He's strong, but he's not quite large enough, unlike his most recent big screen appearance. Number 7, Deadpool 2. Deadpool broke box office records when it came to R-rated movie premieres, and Deadpool 2 followed suit. It brought in lots of dough. And we're pretty excited for Marvel Studios to have their take on Wade, but in one of my favorite parts of his time at Fox was the inclusion of Juggernaut in Deadpool 2. And this time around, he was much bigger and badder. Now, fun fact about this character, Ryan Reynolds actually provided motion capture and voice work for this version of Juggernaut. It was during production when they wanted to keep everything under, tight wraps, but it ended up working so well that Ryan now has another credit in the Fox universe. Number 6, J2. Coming at us from the MC2 universe, Zane Yama made his debut in What If Volume 2, issue 105. Now, he is the son of the OG Juggernaut, Cain, hence why his name is J2. But growing up, he never had that guidance of his father, as Cain Marko went missing during an X-Men mission. But through willpower alone, Cain could transform into this Juggernaut. He made his own armor to go along with the sheer force, donning the nickname J2, Juggernaut version 2. Now, he joined a group called the A Next, which is a group of children whose parents were also a big deal in the super life. He was also offered a membership to the Uncanny X People, which was led by an older Jubilee, but he declined, still assisting them on a few missions here and there. In J2 issue 12, he learned from Cyclops that his father was being held prisoner by a villain called Nemesis in an alternate dimension. Now, the Sorcerer Supreme Doc Magus helped out, and J2 was reunited with J1. How lovely is that? Number 5, Marvel Zombies. Okay, this next one is probably the scariest thing I can imagine running into ever. The zombie universe, always a juicy one. Earth 2149. So this plague gets everybody, and when Juggernaut gets it, it's a pretty exciting time, to say the least. Cain joined the zombie crew and fought to prevent Magneto from leaving the Baxter building, and Cain was a force, but when it came to the final battle with Wolverine, Logan had the one and only upper hand. Literally, he had one arm. He's talking smack to Logan too. He's like, man, you can't get through my armor, there's no point, let's just get out of here. And then Wolverine sticks his claws, not in his armor, but in his mouth. And then he shows Cain up close and personal this new acquired cosmic power. And his head pops off like a bottle cap. Yummy. Wolverine with one arm too. Wow, who would have thought? Number 4, Brother Cain. Coming from the Age of Apocalypse universe, Brother Cain first popped up in Excalibur issue 1. In this reality, Cain absorbed the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak, and after he found out about his brother's passing at the hands of Legion, he became a monk and traveled to a safe haven called Avalon. So when Mystique and Nightcrawler came to Avalon to take Destiny back, Destiny had a vision of Avalon's destruction, so she needed Cain's help. But the thing was, like I said, he was a monk. He made a vow of non-violence. He was struggling so hard with his inner conflict to defend Avalon, but also not break anybody's spine, that the guy had an aneurysm and died on the spot. That's nuts, right? Now there's also another version called Jugger Monk, but that one is an actual ape, not a monk. He's like a monk, monkey ape. You get it. He comes from the Marvel Apes universe, obviously. He worked for the Ape Vengers, and there's not a lot of action with him, but I figured I'd mention him somewhere in this list because he's too fun not to. Number 3, Professor X. Yeah, next on our list, we're checking out What If Volume 2, Issue 13, when Professor X becomes the Juggernaut. Yeah, what a combo, right? So in this Earth 905, we find Charles as the one who became the Juggernaut, and it's super fun. See, Charles couldn't bring the X-Men together until he got out of that collapsed cave. But by that point, it was too easy to recruit, being that powerful. He had 2 superpowers, just, you can't stop this guy. He easily defeated Magneto, and the other members of the Brotherhood of Evil's mutants ended up joining the good side as well. He's so badass. I mean, he straight up threatened Spider-Man by telling him to stay out of mutant affairs, but he doesn't call him Spider-Man, he calls him Peter Parker in his head. He threatens him in his head, and he says that his aunt will be told of his secret. Now, as far as threats go, not too bad. That's intimidating in here and out there. I don't want to fight him, and I don't want him to communicate in here. That's just a double no. You literally can't say no in this sense. And then near the end of the issue, when we see Charles fully embracing the large life, yelling about how nobody disobeys the Juggernaut, it's so frightening. We're seeing him mid-sprint. You don't want to be in the way of this guy. Number 2, Ultimate Juggernaut. The Ultimate Universe, Earth 1610, has an Ultimate Juggernaut. Now, the first time we see him, it's shocking. He looks even more unstoppable. Maybe it's the abs, maybe it's the new helmet, maybe it's Maybelline. Who knows? He grew up in the same trailer park as Rogue, and he actually referred to himself as trailer trash, funny enough, but little did he know, he was brilliant. The guy was super smart. That wasn't until he was incarcerated by Weapon X and forced to be this living weapon of mass destruction, following the orders of Colonel John Wraith. Now, he was part of their strike force that took out the X-Men and also forced them into Weapon X, so it was a pretty bad scenario. He walked tall and mighty until Ultimate X-Men issue 99, where in the middle of a fight, he was shot with a poisonous dart through the visor on his helmet, and in his last moments, Cain asked Rogue to touch him and absorb his powers. And finally, number 1, KUURTH. This last one comes from the Fear Itself storyline. The Hammer of KUURTH was one of the 7 mystical warhammers that the serpent summoned to awaken the worthy. Now, the hammer crashed on the raft, and Juggernaut just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and he was in prison. He was in prison and he got this gift of a lifetime. Must be nice. So he quickly turned into KUURTH, Breaker of Stone. He attacked a nearby guard, and the shockwave was so large that it practically broke the rest of the prison. Poor guy. He probably didn't feel it. He was just like, and then it was just white. That's it. I mean, look at this explosion. That's massive. That's so much. The guy does not exist anymore. And at the same time, the Hulk became Null, Breaker of Worlds. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely check out the Fear Itself storyline. It's very loud. Well, guys, there you have it. The Juggernaut is big and bad in many different ways. Drop us a comment down below who else you'd love to see more alternate versions of, because we love your suggestions. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I've been your host, Taylor McWatters. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe. Peace.